Hello and good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Mullner here for MeteoMark's weather. I want to thank you for joining me. We have a lot to talk about, especially with the tropics. Something has come up with not only several tropical waves, but it's showing up on both the GFS and the European model as we head towards June 11th into the 12th. We have a tropical wave that looks really strong towards the Yucatan Peninsula, emerging into the Gulf of Mexico. Could this actually be something subtropical or potentially our first tropical storm? We'll get into all the details on what could be a big active uptick in our tropics here, along with your entire weather forecast. And don't forget to check out my Hurricane 2024 Outlook, a link in the description down below and at the end of this video. Let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start off here with the European model. We have a few areas of concern in the short term here, one way up east of Bermuda. Not really expecting too much out of this. There's our big tropical wave across the central part of the Caribbean. And we're watching a few other tropical waves as we go all the way out here south of the Cape Verde Islands. So we're just heating up already pretty fast. Now, as we go out here in time, over the next couple days, we're going to see some shower and thunder shower activity from Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico. These areas, watch out. You're going to start to see some increased moisture as we head through the Thursday, the 6th, into the 7th. Look at this. Things really start to come together here. Just watch this area over the next several days. We have the intertropical convergence zone bouncing a little bit further to the north, more in line with Trinidad and Tobago here. Getting a little bit of a breather here in the Lesser Antilles. Now you see these low pressure systems just hanging out across Central America. This is where we're going to start to see moisture build up here with some of these tropical waves. And as we head throughout the weekend, we're going to have a series of moisture complexes here with these tropical waves. We also have one just east of Trinidad and Tobago. But right around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, watch out. Some heavy rain coming your way, and I know you definitely need the rain. Now watch as we head through the 9th into the 10th here. Things really start to push upward here as far as activity. Look at these tropical waves. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is quite a bit in the way of activity here we're going to have to keep an eye on. Now, as we head towards, say, the 10th, there's two areas we're going to be watching here. Northwestern Caribbean, Eastern Gulf, and this area just beginning to enter near Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, these areas towards the Eastern Caribbean. As we continue to surge in time here, look at this. Central America getting a lot of beneficial rains, but you start to see what seems to be a northern stream system here, an upper level low that gets stuck. Tremendous tropical moisture getting funneled up the east coast here. Here is our next series of tropical waves moving in, and we're watching this one here across the Northwest Caribbean and Eastern Gulf of Mexico as we head through the 11th into the 12th. And it's during this time frame we start to see our Eastern Caribbean tropical wave kick in here south of Puerto Rico. But look at this area right around Florida and off the southeast coast. This is where things start to become a little bit concerning. When you get these showers and thunderstorms stalling in an area like this, this is the time of year you can get some pretty good development here in some of these areas. But look at this. The activity level, I'm going to leave you with the last frame before I head into the GFS. Look at how active things look by this time period. All these areas just bubbling up with tremendous activity and moisture around the June 14th. All right, so as we go to the GFS here, you can see a similar situation. As we continue to go out here in time, it looks like the Eastern Pacific kind of trying to ramp up here a little bit. There's our little system heading out over the open Atlantic. And intertropical convergence zone, there it is, showing up very nicely. Now let's go out here in time. Looks pretty dry here on the GFS until we get to about the 6th or the 7th. Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, you start to get increased moisture. The Bahamas as well. I don't want to leave you out here in the Bahamas. You're going to be dealing with a lot of rain here as well. Now as we head through the weekend here, look at Belize up to the Yucatan. Yeah, these areas, we're going to be looking at increased moisture here into the 9th and into the 10th. Look at this across the Western Caribbean. We are going to be looking at a lot of moisture moving in from this region and then intertropical convergence zone here towards Trinidad and Tobago. Now look what's happening here. There is that low pressure system. It's showing up very readily here on the GFS model. Now let's continue to go out here in time. You can see what's happening. There's high pressure, that Bermuda high, very stubborn, and that is sending a surge of tropical moisture up across the Florida Peninsula, up the U.S. East Coast here. As we head through the 11th into the 12th, look what starts to happen here. An area of low pressure starts to form west of Cancun, and look at all this moisture here on the east side. So Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Yucatan Peninsula, Honduras, Belize, Florida, the western Bahamas. Look at this area of low pressure right across the Central Gulf. Could this potentially be our first tropical storm? It is quite possible. Look at this. Heading into the west coast of Florida by the 14th. It was showing up, as I showed you before, here on the European as well. Landfall there in the panhandle of Florida. So there it is. And look at how it heads inland here. That big classic comma shaped as it becomes. Look at that. That is pretty intense. That's by the 16th. You know, a lot can change between now and then. But look at behind it here. The 17th. Take this with a grain of salt. This is 318 hours out, but look at the tremendous amount of moisture left behind with another potential low heading into the Gulf of Mexico and into the Caribbean. Wow. And sea surface temperatures are just going crazy here. Look at across much of the MDR, the Caribbean, Gulf, even off the southeast and east coasts. Look at the New England coast there. A big area of extreme high sea surface temperature content for this time of year. So I wanted to show you the moisture plume over the next couple weeks here, especially the next week and a half. You can see the GFS showing up here, the Western Caribbean into the Eastern Gulf by the 11th. And look at that moisture surge. There is that potential area of low pressure as we head towards June 14th. Stay tuned. This could get really interesting. But as we go out here in time, that could wrap up into maybe tropical or subtropical. The reason I say subtropical is look at all this dry air on the western side of this. This has got some, what seems like not only tropical, but cold core characteristics too, which would make this more subtropical. But something we'll have to keep very close watch on. There it is. Moisture plume continuing behind it as we head through mid-June. As we head to the European model here, there it is. Gulf is dry air here as we head through the rest of the week. And you can see, look at some of this Saharan dust really kicking up here, keeping the atmosphere pretty dry. But look at this as we head through June 10th here. Some of that starts to let up. We start to see that tropical surge here from the Eastern Caribbean all the way into Central America. It's showing up a little less evident here on the European run. GFS is going bonkers here with all this moisture, but the European is showing a bit more in the way of dry air at mid and upper layers. So something we'll have to keep a close watch on. Still, nonetheless, the European showing something just like the GFS was in the Eastern Gulf of Mexico. All right, so you can see our precipitation anomaly. Let's just back it up. There is this week, and there it is correlating with next week as we head through days 8 through 14 here. We get into June 11th through June 18th. There it is across the Northwest Caribbean, Eastern Gulf, and that just continues. Look at this as we head towards the end of June, beginning of July. There is that big moisture surge we've been talking about that just increases in time towards Florida and the Caribbean islands. And here it is for the month of June, showing up on the CANSIPS model. Look at that across the Caribbean, blasting towards all of the coastlines here of the Gulf of Mexico, southeast, and even up the east coast here. Much wetter conditions as we head towards August. Look at this. This is just crazy. This is kind of indicative of our tropical season as we have so much warm water to deal with, especially as we head into La Nina. Look at this, September, October. We still might be talking about tropical systems here into the MDR and Caribbean by November. So if we take a look at the Western Caribbean here, this is where things are going to go a little crazy here through the end of the week. Not so bad, but yeah, look at Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, 60 to 100 millimeters of rainfall. Not too shabby there. That's anywhere from about, say, close to 2 inches to 4 inches here. Central America, we're starting to increase here as well. Now watch as we go into next week. Look at this. This is where things get real. Central America, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, these areas, as well as the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, we're piling it on here towards 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall here. Even into Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, we're piling on the rainfall here. Now, as we head towards the Bahamas and Eastern Caribbean here, this little tropical wave feature continuing to produce rainfall here across Puerto Rico. But look at, as we head towards next week, there's that surge of tropical moisture, even towards Trinidad and Tobago here. But look at here. We're going to add very little across the Northeast Caribbean. It's right here towards the Bahamas. That's where we're going to start to pile up the rainfall, 90 to 120 millimeters of rainfall, a good 3 to 5 inches. Look at off the southeast coast up here, though. So if we take a look at the GFS here, let's see how it lines up. There it is with the European week. We get through this week into early next week. Let me just stop it right over the weekend here. You can see pretty much the similar scenario as the European model, but look at as we head into the early to middle part of next week. GFS is going crazy here. I'm incredibly concerned about this. This might be some convective feedback, but if it isn't, this would be anywhere from 150 to 250 millimeters of rainfall. I mean, we're talking about rainfall of 6 to as much as 12 plus inches of rain here. So this is something we need to keep a very close watch on as we head through the middle part of the month here, especially the following week. And as we head over to the Eastern Caribbean, something very similar starts to happen right around the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Another big tropical wave surges a tremendous amount of moisture here, 125 to 175 millimeters of rainfall. I mean, we're talking about anywhere from about 5.5 all the way up to 10 inches of rain. Now, as we head during the day on Wednesday, we have 2 areas of severe weather down here towards the western Gulf Coast, parts of Texas. And the other area I'm most concerned about here into Ohio, eastern Michigan, western New York, and western Pennsylvania. I still think that this area should be in a slight risk of severe weather. I do think maybe throughout the day on Wednesday, Storm Prediction Center will likely upgrade this area because the dynamics look pretty good, especially later in the day. And then as we head into Thursday, it is just a general thunderstorm threat across much of the eastern third of the country. No severe weather is expected. All right, so our HRRR future radar, look at the massive storminess here. There's going to be some tornado problems here as we head down here into the southern plains, Midwest, damaging wind, large hail. Now watch this. How far east does this make it during the day? Overnight hours into the day on Wednesday. Well, there it is, northeast Texas, a big area of shower and thunderstorm action here across the Mississippi River Valley as well. This is 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Now you have some showers and thunder showers here around Cleveland. Now watch as we head throughout the day. Some of these areas do get a little bit frisky here across the Ohio Valley into the eastern Great Lakes where we could have, some of that damaging wind, large hail. Look at this is by 3 p.m. on Wednesday. So you got some stronger storms here across western Pennsylvania, New York. Now look at the bigger line here across Michigan. Even some stronger storms here across the Appalachians, down towards the mid-Atlantic, and a few cells down here towards the Gulf Coast. Even some cells up here in New England. So we got some instability across many areas. Now watch this. This is 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., More of these are more heavy rain producers here across Pennsylvania, but I'm a little concerned here. Southern Ontario, Ohio, down through eastern Kentucky. These areas, we got to watch out because some of these, this is 8 p.m. right around Cleveland, Columbus, down to east of Cincinnati. Some of these could produce damaging wind, large hail, and can't rule out an isolated tornado here towards 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and then we start to become into more of a linear heavy rain event here as we head into the overnight hours. So Thursday morning, the early morning hours, you can see this becoming much more of a heavy rain. Now, we could still have some severe cells here across parts of the south, but here into the northeast, That's where we're going to be dealing with some stronger showers and thunderstorms, producing a lot of rain in a short period of time. And then towards 10 a.m., we start to see what's happening here. Another burst of showers and thunderstorms here across the upper Susquehanna Valley. But look at that. As we get towards 2 and 3 p.m. here, we do start to clear it out here to the west. So as we kick off here with our GFS, look at this. So yeah, Thursday, it's going to be wet across the northeast and the lakes. That pushes up to the northeast here as we get a little bit of a coastal low. But look at this. Yeah, this is going to be the worst weather of the nation here as we head through Friday into the weekend. Look at another severe weather outbreak across the mid-Mississippi River Valley. Unsettled conditions continue here across the lakes in the northeast. And look at that. With that upper level low across eastern Canada, here's the 9th. We're still dealing with moisture here hanging out around the eastern lakes. So your weekend looks very wet and cooler here across the eastern lakes and the northeast. By Monday the 10th, we start to kick it out here a little bit. Watch out for some severe weather here across the Carolinas down into the deep south. So yeah, we're going to have that tropical moisture meet up here. And thankfully here so far for the northeast, it looks like we're keeping high pressure dominated here with that sinking air just to the west of all this tropical moisture. You know, things can change. Please stay tuned. But this is going to be the big thing we're going to be watching. Middle to latter part of next week. Will we see some sort of subtropical or tropical storm barrel out of the eastern Gulf of Mexico? If this does occur, this would produce a tremendous amount of rain for the southeast, and it would be very troubling because look how far north this would push. This would push all the way up to the Ohio Valley. Please stay tuned. Things could change greatly, but the pattern is much wetter. And showing our European model run here, there it is confirming from the Ohio Valley, eastern lakes to the northeast, that upper level low, even in the mid-Atlantic, affecting you as well. Lots of moisture hanging out as we head through Thursday into Friday. And look at there across the lakes into the northeast. That upper level low stuck across eastern Ontario here. Just pinwheeling all of these disturbances, so to speak, as we head into Saturday and Sunday, making for a very cloudy, wet weekend here across much of the northeast. You can see just a lot of rain and clouds, showery conditions, especially when you get that daytime heating. Now, at night into the early morning, that's your best time, but look at by the afternoon here into the 10th, even the Ohio Valley into parts of the northeast, continuing with tremendous moisture here. And look at here across the southeast. Here's the European model showing that synoptic system meeting up with that potential tropical system, coming very close to the mid-Atlantic and the northeast here. Something we'll have to keep an eye on. The European is a little bit slower, keeping more moisture, much more pessimistic here. So that's something we'll have to keep a very close watch on. But as we continue to go towards the 12th, the 13th, and we can get up to about the 14th where the GFS showed that landfalling potential tropical system, there it is showing up in the eastern Gulf. So liquid equivalent precipitation here, we're looking at the total amounts as we head through the rest of the week into the weekend. Look at this, and as we head through next week as well. So we'll just take it to the end of the weekend into early Monday here. Look what's going on. It's going to be, this was with the upper level low. This is just not good. Very bad weather here. Showers and thunderstorms pretty much every day. 1 to as much as 2.5 inches in most areas. And then another big bullseye here down here with the severe weather outbreak. And then as we head into next week, you can see, look at this feature. This is with that massive tropical moisture plume, that flux from the eastern Gulf of Mexico to just off the southeast coast. And as we take a look at the GFS here, there it is pretty much agreeing with the Euro as we head through the rest of the week into the weekend here. Hefty rainfall amounts. And then as we go into next week, look at the south and then Florida with that. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is something we're going to have to keep close watch on. The southeast, could something tropical be brewing here? Well, the rainfall totals are indicating 6 to as much as 12 inches of rain. So if we take a look at the upper air pattern here with the European model, there is that upper level low pinwheeling through late week into the weekend, and it just hangs out here across the northeast and southeast Canada. Look at this. This is Sunday the 9th. Look at this. Tuesday the 11th. We're still dealing with a trough by Thursday the 13th. And look at this. Even a cutoff low starting to form here. This is kind of curious because this pattern could also be, we could be looking at some tropical moisture coming from the Caribbean here and the Gulf. So whether we have something synoptic meet up with something tropical, we'll have to keep a close watch here. And as we follow the medium range climate model through the rest of June here, you can see we're now looking much stormier through the rest of June here in the east. This is not the best of news here. This is going to result in extreme positive precipitation anomalies here. Look at this as we head through the 27th into the 28th, 29th. I still expect things to slowly turn around as we head towards July here. There it is. Right around July 4th, July 5th, you can start to see some evidence that we might have a more large-scale ridge taking over. All right, so our Canadian weather outlook here, we got a big old blasted low. I told you that upper level low that was affecting the northeastern part of the United States is going to be affecting much of eastern Canada as we head through the next several days. Look at how it gets hung up here over Ontario and Quebec. We're going to have tremendous amount of moisture continuing as pinwheels of low pressures and troughs pinwheel on the south and east side of this low pressure system. Look at Western Canada. You're actually looking pretty clear out here in Alberta and British Columbia. Enjoy it because you haven't had that in quite some time. Now look at, we start to push that upper level low finally into the Canadian Maritimes. So we start to clear it out, high pressure building into Ontario, Manitoba, Quebec here. Look at that. Enjoy it by the 11th into the 12th. Canadian weather starts to look a bit quieter as we head into June until about June 14th. Look at that severe weather outbreak here in a parts of Saskatchewan here. Could we have a major problem here? It is quite possible as we continue to go out here in time. We'll be watching the system as it produces a tremendous amount of rain, wind, and potential severe weather. Look at on the backside, we could see some wet snowflakes mixing in as well. Not unheard of for this time of year. But look at this, we get another area of upper level low that gets stuck here across southeastern and eastern Canada. Yep, there it is for the 20th. Another system pushing in from the west, British Columbia showery conditions, and the Canadian Maritimes, another upper level low. And for Canada here, liquid equivalent precipitation. Look at that from central Canada to eastern Canada. As we head through the next 2 weeks, we are looking at a very wet pattern in this region right here. So very stormy, especially as that upper level low stalls across southeast Canada. Most areas will be getting 60 to as much as 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's talking about 2.5 to as much as 4.5 inches of rain. So do we have anything out here into the western Pacific? Well, let's take a look here, see what's going on. Right now, there is not a lot to talk about out here. Philippines, up to Japan, Taiwan, much of Southeast Asia. This is where you're seeing your monsoon season. So you have the intertropical convergence zone out here. Let's just take a look and see if anything's showing up here of interest. I don't really see much of anything, which is kind of crazy. You know, the big story is in the Atlantic as we head through the next couple weeks. But look at here. This is just your normal standard monsoon conditions. Now, as we flip over to the GFS, I just showed you the Euro. As we show you the GFS here, take a look at this. So, conditions looking pretty tame here. As far as monsoon conditions, this is nothing out of the ordinary as we head through the 12th. You can see the northern Philippines up here. Japan getting a clearing spell, which is kind of rare for June because June is your massively wet month. Look at that. You do get some wet conditions by the 17th, but look at down here towards the northern Philippines. The northern Philippines up to Taiwan and South China near Hong Kong is going to be getting a lion's share of the moisture. But look at this. The intertropical convergence zone is eerily quiet. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
All right, so if we take a look at temperature-wise here as we go throughout the rest of the week, that heat is building across the south, even the southwest here, even into the northeast. We're bubbling it up, some areas in the mid to high 80s as we head into Thursday. Watch this. This is with that upper level low that's pushing down from southeast Canada here. 60s here into the upper Midwest. Look at those 90s across the south, even hundreds into Texas. Into Friday, look where the cool air is going to be. Those 70s and even some 60s here around the lakes. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And look at this as we head into Saturday. We're holding on to some 60s here into interior parts of the Northeast, some 70s near the coastline. Look at the rest of the country, though, just baking into Sunday here. Yeah, we're still dealing with that upper level low. Some of those temperatures, upper 60s, lower 70s. Look at even upper 80s here across the Carolinas and Georgia. And as we end into the following week, June 10th, looking pretty temperate across the area. Extended forecast for my hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton to Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. If we take a look here, Wednesday, the clouds will be rolling in. It's your last really warm day into the mid-80s. A chance of a late day scattered shower thunderstorm. Now look at this Thursday. It's Wednesday night and Thursday. We get showers and thunderstorms likely up to a half an inch or more potentially. The good news is this is out of the way by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, so you can salvage a little bit of the day as you go through Thursday. Now, Friday afternoon, more showers and storms move through as we get this trough, this upper level low kind of stalling for the weekend. Cooler temperatures, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially in the afternoon and evening each day. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.